For example 2, let's start by reading it. Pokemon is on top of the Statue of Liberty. Here he is. If he looks down at his enemy with an angle of depression of 12 degrees and the statue is 93 meters, how far away is his enemy from the base of the statue? Okay, we're going to start off by drawing our picture here. So here is Pokemon, and here's our horizontal line and our angle of depression, which is 12 degrees. And down here is his enemy. It just look like, that's his enemy. Okay. Now I'm going to go ahead and create my right triangle. And I know that the height of the statue itself is 93 meters. But the important thing that I want to point out is my question here is, how far is he away from the base? So I'm asking, how far is this base? Now I have my right angle right here, and I have this side of 93 meters, but I don't have any angles in here. I don't have this angle, and I don't have this angle. Now one of the things that I'd like you to think about is, if this is a 90-degree angle, and this is a horizontal line, then this line is perpendicular to this line. That means that these two angles add up to 90. So what number plus 12 degrees would give us 90 degrees? I hope you're thinking 78 degrees. Now with this triangle, this new one that I'm actually going to draw to the side so you can see it, this is the actual triangle that we're dealing with. We have an X, a 93 meters, and the angle right in there is 78 degrees. That means we're looking at, if this is the angle we're looking at, opposite and adjacent. That means that our math, I'm going to need to move this down a little bit. That means that our math is a tangent. So the tangent of 78 degrees, not 12 degrees, because again we're looking at this angle, is the opposite side over the adjacent. Now our goal is to solve for x. They're dividing by 93, so I'm going to multiply by 93 on both sides. It's a multiplication there. And I get 1, and x equals 93 meters times the tangent of 78. Now over here in the corner, we can kind of take a look at this. I'll zoom in a little bit. The tangent of 78, here's 78, and here's the tangent right there, 4.7046. I'm going to plug in that value. 93 times 4.7046 is the distance between the enemy and the base of our statue. So I'm going to have to actually do this math. 4.7046 times 93. Okay, let's do it. I need a little bit more space. Sorry, I keep shrinking this down. Okay, 3 times 9 is 18. 4 times 3 is 12 plus 1 is 13. 3 times 0 is 0 plus 1 is 1. 3 times 7 is 21. And 3 times 4 is 12 plus 2 is 14. And there's my placeholder. 9 times 6 is 54. 9 times 4 is 36, plus 5 is 41. 9 times 0 is 0, plus 4 is 4. 9 times 7 is 63. And 9 times 4 is 36, plus 6, that's 42. Okay, I add my values. I have an 8, a 7, a 2, 5, a 7, a 3, and a 4. With 4 decimal places, that means x is 437.5278 meters. But I said to round to the 10th for all of these problems, so that means x is approximately 437.5 meters. That's how far away the enemy is. Now let's try another angle of depression problem by starting with reading the problem. Pokemon's friends are sitting on the edge of a 100-meter high cliff. They look below and see a boat from an angle of depression of 78 degrees. How far away is the boat from the cliff? Okay, here we go. Here's our horizontal line and our angle of depression of 78 degrees. And out here we have a boat. And the question is, how far away is the boat from the cliff? I don't know. I have a right angle, and I also know that the height of the, sorry, my microphone just fell out. We also know that the height of the cliff is 100 meters. So now the question is, what's this angle right here? You should kind of know already. I asked this question already. Remember, if this is 90 degrees and this is a horizontal line, then this angle right here is 90 degrees. If this is 78, then the other angle must be 12 degrees, because 12 plus 78 makes a 90-degree angle. Now I can look at the real triangle. The real triangle I'm looking at has a 12-degree angle, a right angle. This is 100 feet, or 100 meters, and they're asking me how far away the boat is from the cliff. So now I can ask myself, what trig function am I going to use? This is the opposite side, and this is the adjacent side. That means we're looking at, dun-da-da, I hope you said tangent. Okay, so I'm going to move this over here. Here's our equation. The tangent of the angle I was given, which is 12 degrees, is equal to the opposite side over the adjacent. Now, I'm solving for x, so I need to get it alone, so I'm going to multiply by 100 on both sides. When I do that, I get x equals 100 times the tangent of 12 degrees. And I think if you squint, you can see it. Here's 12 degrees, and here is the tangent. That's 100 times 0.2126 equals x. Now this is a really easy multiplication. Anytime you multiply by 100, you just move the decimal place. So that means my x is 21.26. But since they asked me to round to the nearest tenth, x is approximately 21.3 meters. That's how far away the boat is from the cliff. Now for our last question. Example 4 says, a fox kneels to fire a laser at Pokemon. So here's the fox and here's Pokemon. He looks up at him with an angle of elevation of 41 degrees. If the bubble Pokemon is floating in is 8 feet above the ground, how far away, or how far will the laser travel to pop Pokemon's bubble? Okay, we need to start with a picture here. I'm going to make my tree table a little bit smaller, and I'm going to bring Pokemon over here. Okay, so here's what I have so far. I have my horizontal line and my angle of elevation, which happens to be 41 degrees, and I know that this bubble is 8 feet above the ground, and they're asking how far will the laser travel. This is an easy one. I'm going to look at my angle and the sides that have been given to me. This is an opposite side. This is the hypotenuse. Which trig function involves opposite and hypotenuse? What were you saying? Did you say sine? That's right. Good job. Okay, so let's write our equation. That means that the sine of 41 degrees is the opposite length over the hypotenuse length. Now from here I'm going to solve for x. First thing I'm going to do is get the x out of the denominator. So I'm going to multiply by x on both sides to get x times the sine of 41 degrees equals 8. Now I'm trying to get the x alone. They're multiplying by the sine of 41, so I divide by the sine of 41 on both sides. And from there, I get x equals 8 divided by the sine of 41 degrees. I'm going to zoom in on 41 degrees so you can get a closer look. So 41 degrees is right here, and there's the sine right there. So that means if I substitute that value in, here's the math I'm going to have to calculate. 8 divided by 0.6561. All right, you can do this. Here we go. I have 8, and I'm dividing it by 0.6561. That's 4 decimal places. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 4 zeros. So that means I'm really taking 6,561 and seeing how many times it fits into 80,000. Okay, let's do this math. Okay, so 6,561 fits into 8,000 one time. So 6,561, when I subtract that, I get 1,439, and I bring down my 0. Now it happens to fit, 6,561 fits into 14,392 times, and 2 times 6,561 is 13,122. When you subtract that, you get 1,268. And I'm going to bring down a 0. We're getting close. Now, 6,561 fits into this new number one time. It almost fits in twice, but twice is just a little too much. So that's 6,561 subtracted from, I'm sorry, that's an 8, guys. When I subtract that, I get 6,119. And when I bring down my 0 for the last time, it fits into 61,199 times. I get 59,049. And when I subtract that, which is pretty close, I get 2,141. Obviously, I could do this forever, but luckily, your geometry teacher said just to round to the nearest tenth. So x is actually approximately 12.19. We know it repeats. It doesn't repeat, but it goes on. That means x is approximately 12.2 feet. So let's go back to what we're asking here. The laser is going to travel about 12 feet to pop Pokemon's bubble.